Yeah, good morning, everyone. Just want to thank you for everything that you do for the career cluster, manufacturing, engineering, technology. Want to emphasize that it is a priority of the governor. I want to make an open invitation to you to email me directly and give me ideas for what you need to scale enrollment and scale completion in engineering, technology, and advanced manufacturing, particularly as we think about how to innovate the cluster to anticipate for the emergence of new forms of technology and the integration of technology within manufacturing as we think about Industry 4.0 and other impacts. I'm interested both. So first, open invitation, please email me anything I can do for you and for your college or for your district in terms of funding, a legislative appropriation, anything and everything is on the table. Additional faculty lines, whatever it's going to take, we need to do something. The gap between our supply and the demand in this specific occupational area is too large. That's the first point for why that open invitation is here. Also, too, the governor is hyper focused on getting this economy to the 10th largest economy in the world by 2030. We're currently at number 15. In order to do that, we are not focusing on entry-level, low-wage occupations, right? We are not focusing on culinary, on cosmetology, on barbering, et cetera. And I hate to pick on them, but it's true. The area that we're focusing on is your area, together with other critical industry sectors like logistics, which relate, and aviation, which relates, and healthcare, which relates, and IT, which relates. It hinges upon what you do. And so I am adamant about doing everything imaginable to scale enrollment, innovate the degrees, develop new degrees, embed certifications, and get more students into the market as a result of what you do. Open invitation, faculty lines, funding, whatever it might be. Which is why, principally, we invested with Kevin Carr and Florida Makes a couple years ago to reimagine FLATE to be that sort of convener, that think tank, if you will, for what the state needs to do. And so I'm going to rely, frankly, on you, Ernie, to tell us what the state needs to do in order to make these goals happen. And speaking of goals, I would love to tell the governor, what is our goal? What is the system's goal, right? What is this group's goal? He knows you are convening. Told him I was coming. This is his message. He needs something to happen. And we don't have much time to do it, right? We have a Pathway to Career Opportunities grant about to be released, $15 million this year. An excellent possibility to leverage that bucket of money for a registered apprenticeship or a pre-apprenticeship and partnership with your school district to build out that pipeline. And that money can be used for infrastructure costs, equipment costs, entirely dedicated, in other words, to the apprentice program itself. You can certainly have to tie apprentices to the grants, but you can leverage that money to build out whatever you might need to build out in order to make the pipeline a better one or more productive one, right? So that's first thing, open invitation, goals, anything I can do. Looking forward to reimagining FLATE and getting, I think us on the same page about what's possible. Excited for Ernie's appointment and everything that Kevin Carr is doing with Florida Makes. The last thing I want to say is on the K-12 school district side. I need you all working with our school districts and driving engineering, technology, and manufacturing skills, competencies, and learning outcomes down into not only the high schools, but the 6th grade. Right, so let's think about what earlier pathways look like together. That might be the last goal, or an additional one for FLATE, for us to think about how to quickly restructure K-12 education to support post-secondary enrollment in engineering technology programs. I had one other point, but I lost it. I would defer all program map and were you debating the cap of the 60 hours on the AS? Yeah. Dr. Roll is an excellent resource for you all. She's standing in the back there on all things academic program mapping. I just like to call it out. So I was a dean here on North Campus, and Dr. Roll was my former supervisor, and she's just a phenomenal higher ed leader in her own right. And it's just nice to be back, Dr. Roll, and see you. Any questions that I could field? Yes, sir.
There, I think the goal, at least my perspective, of the AS programs is to make sure that we have a world-class technical technician-based workforce. So it's a multi-characteristic puzzle, and one of them certainly is apprenticeship. It's a very important piece. However, it is slightly not against, but is difficult to match up with your second sentence when you said, which is the governor wants the technician, wants the high-end skilled workforce.
Sure.
And not knocking apprenticeships, they're very important, but they don't produce the high-end worker. It's the AS degrees and the AS programs that do that. So, and I'm very attentive to what is said in and out of the legislature, and I appreciate apprenticeship, but you need to have, you don't need to do anything. I suggest that there is a counter conversation every time the apprenticeship comes up.
Sure.
That there is a balance, and to be frank, if you want to be world class, apprentices are not going to do that. Journeymen won't do that. It's that equivalent in the EU, that third year technical expert.
Depends on the apprenticeship program, first of all, right?
And but you'd have to educate me on that one.
Two. Granted.
I think part of the point there, Richard, though, is it's apprenticeships in manufacturing. It's much better in cosmetology and other trades.
Oh, I don't know. I think apprenticeships are very important in manufacturing. They just don't do the other issues.
But I'm just saying, in terms of our economy in the state,
Sure.
it's still a higher.
yeah.
Sure. Also, too, and this is a longer conversation, we as a Department of Education care a lot about apprenticeship programs that are not disconnected to credit programs. In other words, we are incentivizing apprenticeship programs that are college connected or degree connected so that the students have a pathway to that higher level credentialing opportunity. That's what we've been incentivizing. Principally, I think, Richard, to your point, right? More education is always better, right? But we recognize that many people come from very different walks of life, and there are multiple pathways to a degree, and apprenticeship is the governor's focus. But
Absolutely.
Totally heard.
Maybe the caveat is just what you said. The important apprenticeship is the one that is two pathways. One, a good career as a journeyman.
Sure.
I can use that phrase.
Sure.
And the other one is there is a path into the AS
Totally.
program.
Leverage it, articulate the credit, like articulate the apprenticeship program into credit so that the person can accelerate themselves to completion of a degree, right? I would love to have more colleges submitting applications for apprenticeship programs that look like that, right? Yeah.
I think one of the biggest ways you help my program and out in other schools, but the words you just said about the governor's focus, about the importance on this particular field, shouldn't be given to us alone. It should be going to the guidance, registration, the admissions people in high schools and colleges. I have people come to me all the time. Gosh, I wish I knew about this program, but I'm almost done with my AA.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Commissioner, I'd like to challenge you just a little bit. You said you'd like to drive down technical education into the sixth grade. Why not kindergarten? If you want a model for how this works, Manatee County and Doug Wagner has been doing this more than 15 years now. He starts with engineering education, teaching innovation and collaboration all the way down to kindergarten.
Awesome.
And if you follow the TSA competitions, you know how Manatee County usually blows everybody else away, and that's part of the reason why.
Yeah.
So I think you really should be encouraging driving them all the way down to elementary.
You're absolutely right. I think I stopped at the sixth grade because that's where Perkins eligibility starts and industry certification, performance funding can flow. And so that's typically my purview. And since I always say something and I'm always mindful of how is it going to be paid for, I can't think of a way to pay for things down below the 6th grade, but if the local school district is supporting it and the superintendent wants to do it, all the more power to.
Particularly encouraging young girls to get to this.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
That's gotta happen in elementary school.
Yeah.
Pull them along.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, specifically about diversification of enrollment and recruiting, for example, women, where manufacturing and engineering technology would be a non-traditional pathway for their gender. That is a priority of the governor and of the Perkins plan, and we have a convening on this topic, I think in your area at the end of April, to figure out what to do. Partly it's a counselor thing too, about how to diversify enrollment in manufacturing, specifically for people for whom it would be non-traditional for their gender.
I'm sorry, I came in a little late, but I just
That's okay.
wanted to add to, piggyback to the idea over here about, it sounded like yesterday that a big problem was the high schools themselves promote the 4-year universities. And they're rated on how many of their students go on to a 4-year university. And I've seen it with my own children, how they do that. So if somehow the governor could incentivize high schools to actually, that it looks good how many students actually go to manufacturing, engineering technology schools. If that somehow could be on par with 4-year universities, I think you'd have a.
Yeah, 100%. For which reason we've tried to do things on our own, like launching a statewide recruitment campaign. We're putting $1 million a year into it every year to get their campaign, which is full of success stories, toolkits, marketing collateral, and we're driving it down to the counselor level. But to your point, K-12 funding and K-12 sort of structure of K-12 education and the funding and the incentive structures that superintendents are very mindful of in terms of grading, acceleration points, et cetera, are not that conducive for career and technical education. So it's a legislative decision at the end of the day, and it would be something that I would encourage you to speak to your local delegation about, because ultimately it's going to have to involve a statutory change that would get the kind of behavior that we all, I think, want.
Well, I think Senate Bill, 120, that the governor signed, where now ETs can get their professional engineering license and stuff, was a big step toward that. So what could we do beyond that? That's that.
Yeah, it's funding, right? It's funding in school grades.
Right. So those are the kind of things that we need to be looking at, I think, to promote more interest in the deal, not just, and I know the high schools, I have counselors I talk to every day and they still try to steer them away. But I think knowing that, we're pretty much almost getting an equal par with any other engineering program.
Yeah.
And the cost savings on all that.
Absolutely.
That bill right there saved a lot of money if people would just look at it and read it. It's a great little deal. That's the kind of stuff I think we need to be looking more at along those lines. We continue to move forward with stuff like that. I think that's going to drive it more toward us.
It might be looking into, Ernie and Kevin, maybe as we develop the LBR for the agency, and even if we don't do it formally as an agency, as part of your legislative platform, a recommendation to how K-12 funding works out of the SEFP. But if you don't want to touch that third rail, you could touch the rail of school grades and the acceleration mechanisms, which drives superintendent's behavior and decision making. And so I'd be interested if we could maybe have a follow-up conversation on that and have that be part of something that you would champion or us collectively.
Yeah, and may actually have a platform for that. I've been getting pressured, and it's coming up at my next board meeting at the end of April with my industry members, led by Johnson & Johnson, of what do we need to do to pump up the pipeline.
That would be it.
And they're willing to put all of their legislative power in Tallahassee.
It's a great idea.
Because they're all struggling, and there's no, you and I were both at the supply chain summit, and I moderated a panel. And one of the manufacturing companies on the panel said, Kevin, our number one supply chain problem is not materials and logistics, it's people.
Yeah.
So they're
I know.
struggling.
I know.
I mean, you're talking about some factories having to turn away business. And in the case of that one, actually having to maybe turn back and shut off a couple of lines because they do not have the bodies.
Yeah, it's crazy when we think about it. Just a data point, 770,000 K-12 students currently enrolled in a CTE course or program of study, highest in the state's history. So we've done phenomenal. We're at a pinnacle in terms of CTE enrollment at the K-12 level. I guess as to the percentage of that 770,000 that actually then ends up in the parent CTE post-secondary program, either at a state college or a state university. Yeah, it's less than 20%. Right.
One example of how you may be able to help us, we've got.
The majority of them go into post-secondary, right? But when you map what they studied in K-12 as a function of their concentration to where they are in the post-secondary system, there's just not a continuity there or consistency there. And that's fine because kids change their mind or explore, but it reveals how the pathways themselves are not coupled in the way that they should be. And there's some other interesting data points too, and that might be, again, something for Wade to help remedy. Sorry, Ernie.
No, yeah, sorry, I thought you were done. One way we were discussing here, there's several really good examples of colleges working with high schools. For example, I know FSCJ and STAM in Central Florida, and some others for sure, that, for example, I'm most familiar with FSCJ, but we were graduating about 20, give or take, manufacturing students and about 40 IT students from high school. So they were getting a 2-year degree before they graduated high school. That took a lot of effort to get that going. It's going for about 8 or 10 years now. It's a really successful program. And some other schools want help getting those going, started. I know that when you sit down with everyone at the table, their first reaction is, if in a new school, this can't happen because of 1,000 reasons. So, there's a few schools that want our help to try to get those initiatives going. So we'll figure out what those obstacles are, and then maybe we can work with you to overcome those, because it's different and people don't like change, and they come up with reasons why it won't work before they realize how it can work. So that can make an immediate impact on the enrollment. All these schools want more students, and certainly it would help also with the high school graduates as well.
Richard.
The campus high school concept,
Yeah.
which I think there's 10 now, one being up in Tallahassee, but that's a nice potential new mechanism with one caveat, that there is pressure from your side that there is at least high awareness of the technician route to a good job, other than going into a high school and then ending up at the state universities. Because the A programs are super important to Florida, but they, in most colleges, I have to find the right words when hurting anybody's feelings, have more preference at that college level. So putting the high schools in the state colleges is a great idea, but it needs that secondary push that it's also expected that the administration of the high school through the administration of the college will really support CTE. That's not verbalized yet.
Yeah. The governor led on that back in February out of his relief money. He set aside about 10 million or so to help develop AS high schools, right? Career technical education high schools that are sponsored or operated by a Florida college system institution, which is thanks to recent legislation that would allow the college system institution to be a sponsor of a charter school. So these are CTE charter schools that culminate in one or more AS degrees that are done in partnership with area industry. So it's been a great thing. TCC is the latest, together with Northwest Florida State College, St. Pete College, Miami-Dade College, and Santa Fe as part of that structured grant program, each focusing on something within the STEM cluster. And it's phenomenal, to your point. And the AA is a great thing though too. Again, it all depends upon the student's choice, but with the AA programs themselves, we're seeing students sort of wander and flounder, for which reason I know the college system is very focused on targeted AA pathways that help accelerate students into the parent bachelor degree in a more focused, streamlined way. But heard.
Did I tell you that my son is going to be a doctor, lawyer, dentist?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, doctor, lawyer, dentist. That's what he's going to do when he grows up.
Okay. Well, I can't thank everyone. Yes, sir.
Well, hang on.
You could just shout it out.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, yeah, he's got it.
This is actually my USF sociology. Been studying pathways with late, for over 10 years now. You mentioned before about students in CTE programs kind of having diffuse pathways into higher education. Just now you were talking about students floundering, but when you mentioned that before, you said, well, it's good that they have kind of different directions that they're going into. From the data that you have, do you have a sense of whether it is floundering or is it students taking these CTE skills they learned in high school and kind of taking those skills with them through different pathways throughout Florida higher education, and obviously one of the pathways as well?
That's great. I appreciate the question. It's a great question. Thank you for letting me nuance some of the comments. One, I was lamenting the fact that we have such a low percentage of K-12 students not ending up in the aligned parent CTE program. The fact that they are sort of dispersing, I submit, is not a good thing. We want to keep them within at least a pathway that they were interested in high school, if they were a concentrator. So what we don't want to have happen is students in a high school program that are concentrating in manufacturing all of a sudden end up as a major in a post-secondary institution in health sciences. There's a lot of transferable skills, certainly, but the acceleration and the kinds of things that could have occurred had they been more, I think, aligned in their career choice while enrolling in post-secondary would be better naturally. And I know that's not going to happen always, but certainly it affords them, I think, greater success in the long run, and we see that in the data. The second thing I was saying in terms of floundering, that's specific to sort of AA students across the state of Florida. And certainly the Community College Research Center out of Columbia and a lot of the work that even Broward College has been involved in, Bailey and Jaggers at ALIA, have shown that choice paralyzes students. And if we can think about how to structure their decision-making, at least within a pathway that they can move in and out of, not in and out of the pathway, but within the pathway, they can move in and out of degree programs that are related, all the better for their success. There was one other point, I don't know if I addressed all of this.
Well, just to follow up.
Sure.
The data you taught, these reports publicly available?
No.
Can you make them available?
Through a formal research request to the Department of Education and our review board, certainly.
That's been a joke for a while now.
Yeah. Maryland has access.
You may be interested in talk about this later in my presentation. But the book that I published on teaching and learning employability skills in Tampa area CTE program. To talk about how they take the employability skills, not just the technical skills, but beyond high school.
Yeah, the positive thing, I don't mean to be a negative Nelly here, is right, if we have students enrolled in a CTE program at the K-12 level, and that program has to culminate in an industry certification, we know that they are much more likely to enroll than those that don't in post-secondary. Not only are they much more likely to enroll, they're more likely to complete, and they have higher economic outcomes than those that don't, right? And that data is public, and that is an undersold proposition. Still, I would submit across the state of Florida, the fact that superintendents are not pushing industry certifications at the K-12 level at the level they should is lamentable. Even with those great outcomes for CTE concentrators at the K-12 level, if they earn an industry certification in terms of their post-secondary success, I don't want to ignore that. What I'm saying is that there's missed opportunity with the K-12 CTE concentrators and those 770,000 students in getting them better aligned to the post-secondary training program. I'm not saying they're not eventually successful, they are. I think that there's missed opportunity in terms of structure, talent, supply, and how we're focusing our energy. At least in terms of, again, our ability as a system to meet industry need. And arguably too, if they're not ending up in the CTE program that they concentrated in K-12, I don't know the data offhand, but I would maybe argue that the time to completion is probably longer or not as short as it could have been. The cost is probably higher or, could have been lower or otherwise, other factors, other variables too, right? So last announcement, we have a new chancellor for career and technical education and workforce education. His name is Dr. Kevin O'Farrell. He's current campus president at Pasco Hernando State College. He starts April 25th, which is exciting. He is a great advocate for career and technical education, an amazing champion, very energetic, very dedicated to the cause, and he will soon sort of assume responsibility for all things CTE at the K-12 level and all things CTE at the post-secondary Florida college system level, and obviously partnership with Chancellor Hebda at the college system. So I'll be sending a formal announcement soon, and I know he would extend his email and open invitation for any conversations as soon as he's on board at the agency.
This is your also opportunity. You've got the governor's ear here. This is your opportunity to say something if you want. I also want to introduce these folks who you're talking to. We know who you are.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I know everybody, so I'm sure to make them sure to say their name and what college they're from. I'm Sam Ozzolani, College of Central Florida.
Sam, what do you do at Central Florida?
I'm the program manager for the engineering technology program. As Ernie said, we have some real tight.
Are you over the apprenticeship program with Lockheed?
Well, yes, I'm not over it, but I am. I work with them very
So that's a
closely.
great example, because from my understanding, they articulate that apprenticeship into your AS degree.
Well, I helped set it up. Yeah, if you're talking about that, yes, sir. That's the one. What happened was just that the local technical college couldn't deal with it, and I stepped in and said, "Why did you go there? Why didn't you just come to me and I could have done it for you?" It's a high school level where they can't handle 2 or 3 students at a time. I'm allowed 3 years to build the program, and in 2 semesters we were up way over what we needed. So
That's great. Well, thank you for
they
your.
just couldn't do it. So I just stepped in and we did the specialization in electronics, and now they use that for them to develop into their electronic techs, which they're very short on. So they're doing it in-house, building from within using our programs. Yes, sir.
Well, thanks for your leadership.
Thank you.
Patrick Land, engineering technology faculty at Florida State College in Jacksonville.
Greg Lewis, St. Pete College, Rapid Prototyping, Drafting Design. Sydney Martin, Program Director at St. Petersburg College.
Good to see you, Sydney.
It's good to see you.
Just visited.
Yes, just a
Sydney.
little bit ago.
Yeah.
Sam Aubrey, State College of Florida, Manatee County, Sarasota County, Program Manager, Engineering Technology.
John Etienne from St. John River State College.
Susan Franzen from St. John's River State College. I'm a teacher there.
Jake Patterson, I'm the Dean of Education and Workforce Development at St. John's River State College.
Oh, great.
Steve Zacoma, Bluegrass Educational Technologies, and provide training, equipment, curriculum, education.
Stan Schultes with Roots Education Company. We provide robotic education systems from middle school through technical.
Yeah,
And we're driving down to elementary.
familiar, yeah, with Roots, great stuff.
Andrew Forsman, Pasadena State College Program Director.
Oh, great, well, thanks for giving us Kevin. You know Kevin?
With COVID stuff happening, I was there for 2 years. I've never personally met him, just through Zoom meetings, things like that.
I'm associate professor of engineering technology, Tallahassee Community College.
Eva Suarez, I'm department chair of engineering technology at Palm Beach State College.
Dave Debrossi, I'm the Associate Dean for Business and Industry Technology at Tallahassee College.
Kate Ron Smith, Hillsborough Community College, faculty, engineering technology.
Garrett Lee, the South Florida State College, coordinator for engineering technology.
Sally Abraham, faculty, College of Central Florida.
Bruce Hesher, program manager for engineering technology, Eastern Florida State.
Okay, great. Okay, sorry. I know Richard. Go ahead.
Hi, it's Jolie Dobbins, department chair, Hillsborough Community College, one of the finest colleges in the system.
One thought for two of you. Jamison Elementary School in St. Petersburg has had an engineering and mathematics total school program since Slate gave it to them in 2005 or 2006. So there's a place for both of you to go to see how a whole school, this is the math teachers, this is the PI, the physics, or the physical education. Very cool. Thanks for that.
Michael Lee Meyer, Director of Advanced Technology and Life Sciences at Northwest Florida State College.
Sharon Garrell, teacher at Northwest Florida State College.
Careers. Congrats on your.
Zenobia Aquino, lab engineer for Broward College.
Mohammed, the best program manager of engineering technology at Broward College.
My name is Preston Steele. I'm the Associate Dean of the IMCT pathway at Broward College. I oversee the engineering technology program, supply chain management program, and the building construction technology program.
Good to see you, Preston.
Herman Anderson, Career Development Specialist, Broward College.
Will Tyson, Associate Professor in Sociology, University of South Florida, studies STEM education.
Very cool. How long have you been with USF?
Got to USF as a postdoc in 04 and started in the sociology department in 05.
I'd be interested in connecting you with some of our team members in research and analytics, just to see how the work can possibly complement itself, since we're doing some similar things. Yeah.
We have
Rod Yeager. Oh, everyone knows Rod. We can skip Rod.
okay. Definitely don't want to talk.
Right, I feel better now.
I doubt that I hurt your feelings. Good.
Mark Audio.
Yeah.
I work with Ron Shaker. Should I say it, guys?
Yeah.
A proud graduate of Broward Community College.
This is Brad Jenkins, School of Mines.
No, I've talked to you before, Henry, about our problem with our veterans not being able to graduate and the retention rate way down. And I think I sent you a copy of that program last year. And I'd like to follow up with you at a area. We got it to the governor's area and also to Cochrane, but it's been stymied. So I need to talk to you about that.
Sure, absolutely.
And I'm retired dean, 40 years, St. Petersburg College, engineering technology.
Great to see you, Brad.
That rings a bell with me. I have veterans coming all the time saying, I can't finish a program because I only get my funding if I'm attending full-time or part-time. I got 1 or 2 classes left. I think that what we should do with the veterans, and right now we're not doing a good job, which is say, look, you served this long, you built your educational account this big, use it wisely and take some of the strings away from how they use it.
Yeah, the State Board of Ed is slated to approve a new rule as a function of House Bill 171, which requires uniform award of military credit, or rather credit for military experience or coursework, right? So where a veteran comes in, they can convert either the coursework that they took while in the service, or they can demonstrate proficiency by relying on their experience. And there's a mechanism for the conversion of both the experience and the credit into college credit or clock hour equivalency. And we're doing it cluster by cluster by cluster. And so the main rule before the state board is the first rule implementing this new MOU that exists between the Board of Governors and the State Board of Education to accelerate that kind of completion for veterans, which,
The biggest problem I see is on the financial side.
yeah, the financial thing, I would have to defer really to the colleges themselves, but also, I mean, there are state programs where money should not be possible at this point, but,
It's DA thing.
yeah. Oh, true.
We have a few more online people.
Yeah, we got some online
Yeah, we
people.
got
Dante, if you want to go ahead and get started. Introduce yourself, sir.
Well, Cecilia, you're already unmuted.
Yep. Good morning, everyone. Bill Eustace here, North Florida College. I'm the instructor for the advanced manufacturing program here.
Good to see you, Stephanie, Don. Sorry.
Cecilia?
Hi, I'm Cecilia Larsson. I'm a program manager and professor at Seminole State College.
Dante, you there?
I already did, Dante.
I got it, okay.
Tracy.
Hello, Tracy Barnes, program manager, department chair of electronics and computer engineering technology at Hillsborough Community College at the Del Mabry campus.
Alexander.
Okay.
Marilyn?
That's good. Maybe just tell me who they are.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead, Marilyn.
Just tell me who they are.
Yeah, it looks like everybody else may be distracted.
Marilyn Brown from St. Pete's.
Yeah.
And you had Paul at Daytona State and Alexander Baldwin, he's also at Daytona State.
All right, perfect. You got time for a quick picture for you?
Yeah,
Hey, everybody, if you could, well, take a quick picture.
that'd be great. What do you want to do?
Just up here.
Want to have everyone come up?
Yeah, everybody come on up. Yeah.
Stand up here.